Hey, how's it going, everybody? It is Jazzy the Video Store Sasquatch here, and we are doing our horror movie night. Our Friday horror movie night. I have a couple, borderline horror movies. We're gonna call them borderlines. We're gonna call them horror just because they're storylines and dealing with vampires and the spirit of vengeance and stuff like that, and Satan and just all the stuff that you'd normally consider horror. So we're gonna kind of look down that avenue of Marvel here, while we're continuing our whole Marvel dissection of everything that they've ever done, movie wise. Here, that nah, I shouldn't say everything because we're not gonna cover the cartoons or anything, but we will cover the movies, um, all the releases. So we're just gonna go through them the best we can. And then I have a new movie here for you. We'll start with that one, and that is Passenger, directed by Andre Overdell, starring Jacob Scabio, Lou LaBelle, and Melissa Leo. After a young couple witness a gruesome highway accident, they soon realize that they did not leave the crash scene alone, as a demonic presence called the Passenger won't stop until it claims them both. On May 22nd of 2026 is when this was released. It had an opening of 8.7 million and a gross of 31 million. The marketing campaign for this was better than the movie by a lot. It constantly played, and it was the same stupid scene where he's driving and he keeps going faster and faster, and he's going down the road and he keeps seeing the same guy circle him as he's doing it. That's this trailer here that I'm talking about. And as ridiculous as it was, they kind of made a whole movie about this ridiculous premise, and then I had to watch it for an hour and like 25 minutes, maybe an hour and a half, maybe even longer, but I'm pretty sure it wasn't that much longer. And I was not happy about anything with this movie. It's one of the rare new movies that it just wasn't good. And like, if you want to talk about like word of mouth and stuff like that, like obviously it had a terrible word of mouth. That opening of 8.7 and gross to 31 million, but it just didn't do anything for me. I mean, I don't know how everyone else is it. Think that this was a little film student ish, maybe kind of being mean to this guy a little bit, but that's kind of what it was. And it nothing really sticks out. There's not like an incredibly gruesome scene or anything like that. Like this is one of those slow burns. That just slow burns, and it kind of fizzles out and like like those old school like sparklers that you played with as kids. Like you thought they were fireworks, but they're really not. They're just shiny and um, you know, just kind of lasted about 30 seconds. That's what this movie is here. I don't know. I feel like I just was really mean to this movie. And I'm not normally that mean to the movie, but it really did bother me how bad this one was, especially with the marketing effort and all that kind of stuff. It was disappointing. So I had to kill that movie. I don't think I've never really done that much. So I even kind of feel bad now that I did it, but I had to be done. That was Passenger, directed by Andre Overdell. So we're gonna start with our Marvel movies here, and you're gonna see like a little bit more to explain as we go more into this why I picked these two. But we'll start with like the very first one. Like I kind of said that Spider-Man started it all, but really this one is the one that really kind of kicked it all off because look at what it came out before. It was The Punisher of Dolph Lundgren, Howard the Duck, and the 1994 Fantastic Four, which wasn't even really supposed to be made. It was just made just so they could keep a trade mark here. And that is Blade, directed by Stephen Norrington, directed and starring Wesley Snipes, Stephen Dorff, and Chris Christopherson. A half vampire, half mortal man becomes a protector of the mortal race while slaying evil vampires. This came out August 21st, 1998. Had a budget of 45 million, opening day of 17 million, and a total worldwide gross of 131.2 million dollars. This is like I said, this was the one that started off. Honestly, and I went back and watched it. I was like, damn, this movie really is really freaking good because it was simple. It introduced Blade as a badass. It showed us a bunch of cool martial arts things that they were going to do with the vampires and Blade. And on top of that, like we had cool instruments that they were hunting the vampires with. We had cool stuff like this that we could kind of like throw ourselves into it. Like, oh yeah, that's how you beat a vampire. And like it really started a real kind of creative spree too with like vampire movies coming on because Underworld came out after this and other things like this. So I don't know if it like directly contributed to that. I'm just saying that in my experience, like this was first, and all of a sudden we get Underworld and stuff like that. There's something contributed here because there are very together outlining moments for all this, especially when we get into the sequel of this, like, and then after we talk about the sequel after this one. So, Wesley Snipes, a monster actor at this point in time, a monster action actor at this point in time, and this was the hit of hits. This is kind of what kind of really kind of ruined his career though, because before this movie, he really never did sequels, and there was a couple of his projects that did go into sequels, like Major League, where they had to replace him with Omar Epps, and I can't remember the other one. Oh man, I don't remember. I can't remember off the top of my head, so I can't talk about it, I guess. But there are a couple incidences here before this where he wasn't going to do a sequel. He ended up doing a sequel from this, and then he kind of got too big for his britches. And the third one we'll talk about, like his attitude and stuff like that, kind of tanked that movie. It also kind of tanked this whole franchise because really, if he hadn't had the attitude that he had, we probably be on like Blade 8 by now for sure. Maybe even more. So it is unfortunate, but this one started off and it was rocking, and it is totally the start of 2000 Century movie here. All the bad guys were black with the whole Oakley shades blacked out, with slick black hair and everything like that. Like seriously, this is just a throwback to that whole point in time. They had the slow action sequences. It kind of reminded you. Oh, and the techno music behind it too, or not really the techno, but the industrial music behind it too, also kind of sets it off, and it just really kind of sets it apart. And you can really tell the time period of this movie based on that too, as well. But it is really well done, and did kind of start off a whole franchise here. And if you have not seen it, I do suggest watching it. That is Blade, directed by Stephen Norrington. And then we'll go ahead and talk about the sequel right away. How about that? Blade 2, directed by Guillermo del Toro. So major director right here. Wesley Snipes, Chris Christopherson, Ron Perlman are starring in this. With Blade forms an uneasy alliance with the Vampire Council in order to combat the Reapers who are feeding on vampires. This is another bad. I mean, this I think only like really Guillermo del Toro could have done because he did everything right with this. I mean, he had a badass new kind of vampire hybrid here where our jaw opened up. They had that big tongue thing sticking out that would suck all the shit out of you instead of the fangs. It looked really cool, really awesome. And again, we get into the Vampire Council and we get into the aura of the vampires through the Blade here with the families, and there's purebred vampires and then reborn vampires or whatever they called them. And of course, we have the half man, half vampire with Blade and other stuff like this, and now the Reapers. So there's like a whole another level to everything here coming from Blade 2. And I never even realized this was Guillermo del Toro until I watched it and I saw the credit and it said freaking Guillermo del Toro directed this. And I was like, wow, that's why we remember this one. Most people remember this one as just being so much more superior than the first one, really. And it really is. It's a really good freaking movie here. They could have really, if they would have spun off this one, they could have done a lot of stuff like that with more of an ambitious director than they probably had in the third one. And plus, we remember that Wesley Snipes also kind of had an attitude problem by that point in time. Norman Reedus shows up in this. Leonard Varela is the main vampire, and Matt Scholes pretty much plays Matt Scholes from Fast and Furious, but as a vampire and like a hard-headed vampire on top of that part of the group. So it's kind of funny to see him there. March 22nd, 2002, this came out. Had a budget of 54 million, an opening of 32 million, and a gross of 155 million. Honestly, what kind of surprises me about the gross here compared to the other one is it is bigger. I thought it'd be a lot bigger, honestly, because I remember this movie just hitting bigger. It doubled its opening day. It only had $9 million budget. Honestly, like think about I didn't see Blade 3 yet. I mean, I have seen Blade 3 obviously in real life, but I haven't seen Blade 3 as a concurrent to here to talk about it yet. But after I watch it, I'll probably have no more to say about it. But as far as this is the best movie as I can remember of the three, and like just having the heritage of Guillermo del Toro and the other people in it, like Ron Perlman and stuff like this, it really does. And Norman Reedus really does kind of bring a badass job to it. Chris Christopherson does a really good follow up to his character in the first one as well. So if you have not seen any of those, I really suggest you watch them. This is really part of early Marvel history here, and that is Blade 2, directed by Guillermo del Toro. All right, and the last one we're going to talk about here is Ghost Rider, directed by Mark Steven Johnson, starring Nicolas Cage, Eva Mendes, and Sam Elliott, a motorcycle stuntman um, who sold his soul and becomes a supernatural agent of vengeance. I guess, yes. Peter Fonda's in this, Donald Logg's in this, and he's also in Blade as well. I forgot to mention that. Wes Bentley is in this, and then if there's a little part, there's like a little clip here of a 30-second scene where Rebel Wilson is in this talking about it, and this has to be like one of her very first roles here in 2007. It came out February 16th, 2007. Had a budget of 110 mil, opening of 45 million, and a gross of 228.7 million worldwide. So it made double its money back. That's why it got its sequel. Honestly, the one thing I really remember about this movie when it first came out is the DVD package, because I had to work at the store and you could watch. It's pretty much a third shift job, but you could watch movies through the night, and like pretty much that was the only thing you could do, because it was really before like Wi-Fi and stuff like this, where you could have like another internet access, and your phones really didn't do anything. So on top of that, it was just like right before the technology jump, honestly. And so basically, you had to go to Blockbuster. You had to get the freaking the two movies or whatever you'd get, because you had the movie deal, the movie swap deal. Um, and you'd watch the movie, the extra bonus features, and you'd watch everything on it all freaking night, just to like milk whatever like hours of programming to get out of that movie, because you weren't doing nothing at this job but just sitting there, because it was a clerk job, and they really, and this was really like just part of the job was just sitting there, and they just told you to do this, and they had a DVD player for you. So it's not like I was doing anything nefarious on shift or nothing like that, but while watching these movies. But I remember the bonus features on this one particular was like a cocaine trip of all sorts. They're constantly downing like Red Bull, and like Nick Cage is just wooing and wahing everywhere. And honestly, it's probably one of the funniest movies that I bet Nick Cage ever did. It looked like it, at least. He looked like he had a lot of fun. Peter Fonda as the Saint here is really a good casting call too, as well, especially with the bikes and everything that we're dealing with. Sam Elliott as the original Ghost Rider is also good. Eva Mendes perfect in this. Nicolas Cage is like, this is like his hot run here, because all this Ghost Rider, there's like Nature, or the National Treasures, and a couple other movies where he just kind of he hits hard here. Like he would have ended his career around this point in time, like right after Ghost Rider 2 came out. He'd be like a legendary actor today, like even more remembered than really what he is, because he could just kind of, it's not his fault either, honestly, because we all know kind of his history. But it's also kind of funny that if you've ever been to New Orleans, like the locals there just hate him too for some reason. So he has this like weird reputation, and it kind of follows, and I think it all kind of strains from around this time period, because this is like the really strange Nick Cage time period, the start of it at least, and then it kind of goes into about 2013 maybe, where he's just kind of really red hot and can do whatever he wanted. But this was a good movie. I mean, if this movie came out today, there is no way anyone would complain, because it is so much more practical with the stuff that they do. It's so over the top large that it's awesome. It has the whole corporate sponsorship without seeming like a whole corporate sponsorship deal. And on top of that, it has a very good storyline where we're dealing with Satan, and we're dealing with the vengeance of spirits, and we're dealing with Satan's son trying to, take over hell from Satan, and the Ghost Riders is the only one between, 'cause he has to get the 1,000 souls of whatever town from the Western period of time from the original Ghost Rider, and that will sway this war on this world a little bit more towards Satan's son than Satan, and Satan can't do and stuff. So it's like really cool, like whole little backstory here. The bikes are cool, the fire is cool, the stunts are cool. I really enjoyed this movie, and I really think that if you have not seen this movie, you should go back and try and find it. It is very good, and that is Ghost Rider, directed by Mark Steven Johnson. That is our horror movie night in the cave here for Friday. The big thing is, I know that we kind of stretched what horror movies were. I mean, vampires and stuff like this, I think we can all kind of agree go into a horror movie type of genre no matter what. Ghost Rider 50-50. But we're just trying to also do as many Marvel movies as we can. We're trying to get as many as we can done. Like even like as we are, we're barely even touching the surface, because we're not even getting the sequels or second iterations really of these characters, and we're already in like 12 movies in. So just think about how many movies there are total together with those Marvel movies. So we're just trying to get everything we can do, like just both shows all the time. So because we have a lot of movies, and we're trying to get done before the Avengers come out at the end of the year as well. So there will be a lot of Marvel content on that. So if that is not your thing, I'm sorry. We will get back to regular stuff, and we'll get into the new stuff and stuff like this as it progresses. And there won't be really much Marvel stuff onto this channel, because there's only really one more, and that's Blade 3, or I guess two more, because we could do Ghost Rider 2 as well. So that is our show for today. Thank you guys very much for watching, and please have a good rest of your day or night. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. Comment your top movie picks for Throwback Thursday in the comment section, and see you next time in the cave.